what's good? Back up in the building. It's your boy DJ Delz back with episode 2 of Kickin' It, where we talk sneakers with people I find interesting from all over the world that have the same common interest as me and you, these kicks right here. My first guest is Jacques Slade. This guy is doing it major. You'll catch him interviewing one day Nas and then the next day Kobe. He's doing all kinds of amazing work out there in the world when it comes to sneakers and much more. Let's shoot some questions to him and then ping pong back and forth. First, what I want to know is what sneaker first got this dude hype. So I know you're hearing me right now, brother. What was that first sneaker that just got you hyped?
Yo, what up, DJ Delz and the Delz Nation? Is Delz Nation even a thing? I think I just made that up. But shout out to the Delz Nation. Anyway, I am Jacques Slade. Most people on the internet probably know me as Kustoo. So what up, what up, what up? Thanks for having me on the show. As far as a shoe that I was most hyped for, I don't say most hyped for, but a shoe that I remember being extra hyped for was the Reebok Pump. And that all happened because of D Brown. I remember as a kid, I loved basketball so much. And my older cousins, they were all into basketball too. So obviously I loved anything that they loved when I was a kid. And I remember we were all watching the dunk contest, and I saw D Brown reach down and pump these up and do that dunk, and my cousins went crazy. And so of course for me, I seeing them go crazy. I was like, oh, this must be awesome. Those shoes must be really, really awesome. So it was these, and I wanted these, but I never got them because mom's wasn't having that. These were like $120 back then, and that definitely wasn't gonna happen. That was $100 or something like that. Something crazy where I knew I wasn't going to get them, but I asked and I got to know, and I actually didn't get these until earlier this year. Maybe it was late last year, so I finally got me a pair, but that's not till 2014 or 2015. So yeah, sure, I was hyped for it. Definitely these. I remember that moment. It'll always be a moment in my head, just watching my cousins jump up off the couch and explode when he did the little hide your face dunk. And so I'll always be hyped for that just because of my fam in basketball. So yeah, the Reebok Pump.
Kicking it. Now I could definitely tell we're from the same generation because my shoe that got me hyped when I was a kid was these. These right here, the Reebok Twilight Zones. When I seen Dominique Wilkins wearing these, I was like, yo, I have to have them. And believe it or not, I was more hyped about this than them Jordans back in the days, man. This was the shoe to have back in the days, still the shoe to have now. Anyone that loves basketball and loves sneakers, especially Reebok, this is a grail for many. Kicking it. One thing really interesting is when you actually learn something about the design of a shoe. Last episode we were talking about shoes that you look at and they remind you of something completely different than what it was supposed to be all about. Like for instance, if you've seen like a collaborator doing a shoe with a certain brand, it's supposed to be inspired by fill in the blanks, and then you look at the shoe and it reminds you of something totally different. Then there's just the whole fact of learning about shoes and what they are actually inspired by when it comes to simple things like even these laces here on the Jordan 11 being inspired by the actual net of the basketball hoop. Let's get back and talk more kicks with Kustoo.
A sneaker concept that's different. I can't say that I thought it was different. I just didn't know what it was until later on in life, and that shoe was the Air Max 95. I remember when I first saw it. Again, it was just one of those things where I was like, wow, it was just crazy unique, you know, just because of the shape of the shoe and the way the lines flowed on the shoe. And I never knew exactly what it represented or what it stood for until later on in life when I found out that it was actually the spine, and then it all made sense to me. But I always knew that there was something really unique about the Air Max 95 and the way that the shape, way it was shaped. I just didn't know that it was actually the human spine until later on in life. But now seeing that, knowing that it's the human spine, it absolutely makes sense to me. And shout out to the designer Sergio, who did a great job because he got me, and I didn't even know the intent or the concept of the shoe, but I saw it and I was hooked.
Kicking it. Now the next guest I have on Kicking It is Nightwing, who has his site weartesters.com. And he also, of course, has his YouTube channel, which is very infamous for his performance reviews and much more. So I want to chop it up with him and talk kicks. First, let's talk about favorite shoes. This shoe right here is definitely my favorite shoe, the Black and Infrared 6. This one is the retro with Nike on the back. And I just love this shoe. I think it looks great on feet. Definitely my favorite sneaker of all times. Not even my favorite Jordan, but my favorite sneaker of all times. Let's find out what shoe is one of Nightwing's favorite shoes of all times. Favorite basketball shoes of all times, matter of fact. Nightwing, what's good, homie?
Yo, what's good, Delz? This is Nightwing2303 in case you guys don't know who I am. One of my all-time favorite sneakers is actually the Jumpman Pro. This was Jordan Brand's first team model. This was the first shoe that I saved up all summer long for. I mowed lawns, I picked weeds, I did all kinds of random stuff. I think I was like 13 or 14 at the time. And by the end of the summer, just before school started, I had enough money, which was back then $110, a lot of money. Grabbed my pair. And basically I've loved this shoe ever since. I went through a couple pairs. This is the pair that I still have that's like really nice and new, but it's not wearable any longer. Maybe I'll restore them one day, but who knows? I don't really have that much time as it is.
Kickin' it! We all got funny stories when it comes to sneakers. I've shared plenty throughout the years on my YouTube channel. Let's check in with Nightwing and hear a funny story he'd like to share with me and you.
As far as a funny story, depends on who you ask. I think it's funny, my wife doesn't. But basically, back in 2006, my daughter was born on the same day that the white and grape retro released, and I so wanted that shoe. So after my daughter came out and everything was good, I made sure I waited. I told my wife, I was like, hey babe, can I go and grab the new Jace that just dropped? You don't ask that, ever. Especially after they just had a baby. Long story short, I didn't get the shoes. I ended up getting the retro that released a couple years ago, and then I got rid of them because the quality was pretty trash, and my eyelets they're plastic, they already started to yellow for some reason, even though the clear soles were still nice and clear. I guess you can't win for losing.
Kickin' it! Before you go though, Nightwing, just hit him with a bunch of sneakers that you love. You know, I know you showed one, but hit him with some more sneakers that you love. Like, of course, I showed these. Never go wrong with Air Force Ones. This is something I did on Nike ID. Puma Slades, Reebok Twilight Zones. I was talking about how special these are before. Definitely love my Air Max 90s. And of course, another all-around favorite is the Superstars by Adidas. Love these Jam Master J's. I got one for you too. I know you love Star Wars like me, Nightwing. These are dope. The back of these, by the way, are just bananas. Now, with me showing some of my all-around favorites, we definitely gotta see some of Nightwing's all-around favorite kicks.
As far as an all-around favorite, it really depends on what day you ask me. You can never go wrong with the Reebok Question. Maybe even take it back to my high school days with the Air Jordan 15 Low. Maybe take it all the way back to my very first Air Jordan ever, which was the black and red Air Jordan 11. Being a Dubs fan, you know I gotta get me some Currys. One of my favorite shoes at the moment is actually the J Crossover 2. This is the first official shoe that I had input in during the wear testing process. They actually let me keep the original shoes too, so this was the first sample or prototype that I had, and actually has the J Crossover 1 midsole and outsole. And of course, you can never, ever, ever go wrong with a pair of Air Jordan 4s.
Kickin' it! And that concludes episode 2 of Kickin' It. Thank you for watching, and thank you to my two guests, Nightwing and Kustoo. I will have their Twitters in the description box below and their YouTube channels. Make sure to follow everything they're doing, because they're doing a lot of major things out there. If you love sneakers, you need to be following them. Thanks for watching episode 2. If you didn't see episode 1 yet, that will also be in the description box below, and be on the lookout for episode 3. Once again, thank you for watching Kickin' It, and we are out. Kickin' it. One thing I know I love is concepts. Whenever there's a sneaker that comes out and it has some kind of inspiration, for example, these skunk dunks right here, love these. But then you have a shoe like this that reminds me of this, and this shoe right here has to do with Wimbledon. But to me, when I look at this colorway, it's pretty close to something like this. Let's check in with my homeboy Fomer Simpson. He got a story about a pair of kicks that remind him of something completely different than what the shoe is supposed to be all about. Foamy, what's good, homie?
What's up, Delz? There is definitely a sneaker that reminds me of something totally different than what it was supposed to mean, and that sneaker is